completely backwards logic on Bryan Fischer's American Family Association radio program. He was talking about the situation with bigot Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis, who, try saying that 5 times fast. He says, Bryan Fischer says, that U.S. District Judge David Bunning, who is the one that made the decision to jail Kim Davis for a few days for contempt, imposed a religious test for office on Kim Davis. Now, this is obviously absurd. Okay, it's laughably absurd. Let's hear what Bryan Fischer had to say.
If we've got federal judges that violate their oath of office, then they should be impeached. They should be removed from office. That's the penalty for a judge that violates his oath of office. And I would argue that this judge, Judge Bunning, has violated his oath of office. You know, for one thing, I'm going to develop this at a later time, but Article 6 of the Constitution says that you cannot have a religious test. That's the term, religious test for public office. Now, it takes more time to develop than I have here because what it's specifically talking about is holding federal office. It wasn't a restriction. States could impose any kind of religious test they wanted, and a lot of them did. But the Constitution prohibits any agency or agent of the federal government from imposing a religious test on anybody as a condition for public service. Now, he didn't have a right to do it with Kim Davis in the first place because she doesn't work for the federal government. But setting that aside, he imposed a religious test on Kim Davis. He said to Kim Davis, if your religion does not allow you to affirm homosexual behavior and homosexual marriage, you can't work here.
There was no test, Lewis. It was Kim Davis who was imposing and continues to impose her religious views on everybody else. But apparently Bryan Fischer thinks not allowing her to impose her religion on everyone else is some kind of unconstitutional religious test against Kim Davis. It's completely backwards logic.
I like the use of that word test. It's common among people like Bryan Fischer. They will say, oh, God is testing me.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a test by God. God is testing your faith, whatever. And it kind of makes me a little testy. It just seems like a really dumb and easy way to try and approach what might be a difficult situation.
Well, when the truth is inconvenient, you just flip it 180 degrees and say that the truth is the opposite. And of course, the reality is Judge Bunning did not institute a ban on Christians working in public offices. He just said, you have to follow the law of the land and the Supreme Court decision if you're going to be in a job working for the city or the county or the state or the federal government. Nobody was saying that she should be jailed or removed from office because of her religious beliefs. She simply is required to do her job as per her oath. There's nothing religious about that requirement whatsoever.
No, but, you know, for us, the lines are clearly drawn. For others, there really are no lines. It's, you know.
Do you think, though, that Bryan Fischer really believes what he's saying, or do you think he realizes that what he's saying is bogus and it's just nonsense to fire up the low information crowd?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, if he were running for office, perhaps I might say that it could be that he's just trying to fire people up, but he's not. I mean, I don't know. I think he might genuinely believe all of this.
I feel like Bryan Fischer, in spite of being completely vile in his beliefs, is actually smart enough to realize that he's saying stuff that makes absolutely no sense.
I don't know. To me, he does seem like an intelligent guy, but he seems like the cult leader type intelligent guy. You know what I mean? His brain is completely warped, but he is, intelligent.